Alright, listen. Before we dive into these 45 generational trauma facts, I need you to do one thing for me. Subscribe. Hit that button like you're finally breaking a generational curse today, because some of y'all are out here healing without even charging your phone. That's risky living. Now look, if you've ever caught yourself saying, "I'm not angry, I'm just passionate," or you apologize 47 times in one conversation, or you shut down like a Wi-Fi router whenever life gets stressful, then congratulations, you might have generational trauma. And don't worry, you're not alone. Some of us are healing whole family trees by ourselves while still trying to act normal at work like, "Yes, Karen, I'm fine. No, Karen, I'm not crying. That's just my childhood." So buckle up, grab some water, maybe a snack. Actually, grab 2 snacks. This video is about to expose you and your whole bloodline. Let's get started. 1. Trauma can be inherited through behavior, not just DNA. Generational trauma is often passed through behavior, reactions, and beliefs, not only biology. Kids watch how adults handle stress, anger, fear, money, love, and they copy it without realizing. Example: a father never talks about his feelings, only drinks when stressed. His son grows up thinking, "Real men don't talk, they just handle it," and starts using alcohol or emotional shutdown as his main coping tool too. 2. Unresolved trauma shapes parenting styles. When parents never heal what broke them, they often parent from fear, control, or emotional distance. Their goal becomes, protect my child from what I felt, but sometimes they overcorrect and create new problems. Example: a mother who grew up in an abusive home becomes extremely strict and controlling. She doesn't allow her kids to go anywhere, not because she's evil, but because her nervous system thinks the world is constantly dangerous. 3. Emotional suppression is a learned survival skill. In traumatized households, expressing emotions can lead to punishment, humiliation, or being ignored. So kids learn to shut down. This becomes their adult default. Example: a child cries and is told, "If you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about," or "We don't cry in this house." As an adult, that same person feels numb during breakups, funerals, or arguments. 4. Childhood trauma literally rewires the brain. Chronic stress in childhood changes how the brain develops, especially parts related to fear, amygdala, rational thinking, prefrontal cortex, and memory, hippocampus. Example: a kid who grows up in a house full of shouting and unpredictability develops a brain that's always on guard. As an adult, they might overreact to small criticisms, feel attacked easily, or struggle to calm down, even when no real danger is present. 5. Children copy unhealthy coping mechanisms. Kids don't learn healthy coping from lectures, they learn from what they see daily. If the main responses to stress are anger, avoidance, addiction, or denial, that becomes their emotional toolkit. Example: if every time there is conflict, the father storms out, slams doors, or goes silent for days, the child learns, when something is wrong, disappear. 6. Trauma creates repeated toxic relationship patterns. If chaos, manipulation, or emotional distance is what a child knows as love, they will unconsciously seek the same dynamic as adults. Example: a girl grows up watching her mother chase after a father who cheats, leaves, and returns. As an adult, she keeps falling for emotionally unavailable partners and confuses inconsistency with passion. Her trauma is replaying, not her preference. 7. Generational trauma confuses identity. Kids raised in survival mode don't have space to explore who they are. They learn to be what the family needs, not who they naturally are. Example, a boy grows up always being the strong one, the responsible one, or the peacemaker. In adulthood, he feels lost. He doesn't know what he likes, what he wants, or what makes him happy. He only knows how to perform roles for others. 8. Survival mode becomes a personality. Generational trauma can lock people into permanent survival mode. Overthinking, overworking, overpleasing, overdefending. It feels like personality, but it's a survival system. Example, someone who had to fight for everything as a child cannot relax even when they're safe. They feel guilty resting, always feel behind, and constantly plan for the worst. To others, they seem driven. Inside, they're exhausted and scared. 9. Parents pass down their fears. Parents with unresolved trauma often project their fears onto their children, shaping their worldview. Example, a mother who was abandoned by her own father constantly tells her daughter, "Never trust men, they all leave." The daughter grows up fearing relationships or sabotaging them because her mind is trained to expect abandonment. 10. Trauma. Silences real conversations. In families with generational trauma, certain topics are taboo. Emotions, abuse, addiction, secrets. Silence becomes the family language. Example, everyone knows dad drinks too much, but nobody talks about it. Everyone knows mom is depressed, but it's called she's just tired. The kids grow up confused, learning that reality and truth must never be spoken out loud. 11. Children from traumatic homes become hyper-independent. When kids can't rely on adults, they turn into their own parents. That looks strong on the outside, but lonely on the inside. Example, a child who had to cook, clean, comfort themselves, and handle school alone grows up believing, "I can only rely on myself." As an adult, they struggle to ask for help even when drowning. 12. Parentification. Kids become emotional adults. Too early. Parentification happens when children become the emotional or physical caregivers of their parents. It's a subtle form of trauma. Example, a child comforts their mother after fights with dad, listens to her problems, wipes her tears, and gives her advice. As an adult, that same person attracts broken people and feels responsible for fixing them. 13. Trauma turns children into people pleasers. People pleasing is often a safety mechanism. If I keep everyone happy, I won't be hurt or abandoned. Example, a child in a tense home learns to sense everyone's mood. If I do what they want, they won't shout. In adulthood, they overextend, agree to things they don't want, and then feel resentful and drained. 14. Emotional neglect can be invisible but devastating. Just because a child is fed, clothed, and schooled doesn't mean they are emotionally cared for. Emotional neglect is when a child's feelings and inner world are ignored. Example, a child wins an award and is told, "Cool," and the parent goes back to their phone. They're never hugged, never asked, "How are you really?" As an adult, they feel deeply unseen and don't know why relationships feel empty. 15. Trauma makes love feel like chaos. If love was mixed with yelling, cheating, leaving, or emotional games, calm love can feel fake. Example, someone meets a healthy partner who communicates, doesn't play games, and is consistent, and they feel bored. Their nervous system is addicted to the highs and lows of unhealthy love because that's what passion felt like growing up. 16. Trauma damages self-worth. Early, kids naturally think everything is about them. When bad things happen, they blame themselves. Example, if parents fight, leave, or insult them, the child quietly concludes, "I'm not enough. I cause problems." This becomes a voice in their head that later says, "You're not good enough for love, success, or happiness." 17. Children learn to be silent. To stay safe. In traumatic homes, having an opinion or asking questions can trigger conflict, so kids learn to stay small and quiet. Example, a child speaks up at the table and is told, "Children should be seen, not heard." As an adult, they struggle in meetings, relationships, or social situations because their body still believes, "If I speak, I'll be attacked or embarrassed." 18. Trauma makes people anxious. Even in safe situations, the body remembers chaos and danger. So even when life is calm, the nervous system doesn't believe it. Example, in a peaceful relationship, someone constantly overthinks, "What if they leave? What did that look mean? Did I do something wrong?" The partner did nothing, the trauma did. 19. Growing up in an unstable home creates deep trust issues. If caregivers were unpredictable, sometimes loving, sometimes cruel, children don't know what stable trust feels like. Example, a father is kind one day and explosive the next. The child never knows which version they'll get, so they become hyper-vigilant. In adulthood, they struggle to fully trust anyone, always scanning for betrayal. 20. Anger often becomes the default emotion. Anger feels powerful and safe compared to sadness, fear, or vulnerability. Many traumatized people use anger as armor. Example, instead of saying, "I feel hurt," they yell, insult, or shut down. Their anger is really unexpressed pain layering over years of feeling powerless. 21. Trauma teaches children to expect disappointment. When good moments always seem to end badly, the brain prepares for loss even in happiness. Example, a child is happy for a moment, then suddenly there's a fight, breakup, eviction, or drama. As an adult, when something good happens, they say, "It's too good to be true," and emotionally pull back to protect themselves. 22. Harsh parenting becomes the inner voice. The way parents spoke to us becomes how we speak to ourselves. Example, if a parent constantly said, "You're useless, you'll never achieve anything," that becomes the internal soundtrack. Even when the person tries to change, their own mind attacks them harder than any enemy. 23. Generational trauma shows up in the body. Chronic stress affects sleep, digestion, immunity, and energy. The body keeps the score. Example, someone with generational trauma may struggle with constant headaches, tight shoulders, stomach issues, fatigue, or insomnia, not just from bad health, but from years of unregulated stress and never feeling safe. 24. Trauma teaches that love, self-sacrifice. Many people raised in painful environments believe love means enduring pain, fixing others, or constantly putting themselves last. Example, a woman watches her mother sacrifice her career, emotions, and dreams for an ungrateful partner. She grows up thinking, "If I love someone, I must stay, even if it kills me emotionally." 25. Trauma creates fear of authority figures. If authority in childhood meant punishment, shouting, or humiliation, the body reacts to authority with fear. Example, a boss simply asks, "Can we talk?" and the person's heart races. They panic, assume they're in trouble, or think they'll be fired. Their nervous system is reacting to their parents, not their boss. 26. People repeat what they swore they'd never do. Without healing, "I'll never be like my parents" often turns into, "How did I become them?" because trauma is subconscious programming. Example, a man who grew up with a shouting father swears he'll never yell at his kids. One day, stressed and overwhelmed, he snaps and screams exactly like his father did. He's horrified. But that's how unhealed patterns show up. 27. Emotional numbness is a trauma response. Some people don't feel too much, but the opposite, they feel nothing. That's not coldness, it's protection. Example, in a moment where they should cry, like a breakup or a funeral, they feel empty. Their brain learned early, feelings are too painful, shut them down. 28. Children of trauma become overthinkers. Overthinking is often a survival strategy. If I can predict every outcome, I won't get hurt. Example, a child watches adults explode over small things. As an adult, they scan every word, emoji, tone, and silence, trying to figure out if someone is angry. Their brain never rests. 29. Trauma affects decision-making and risk-taking. When you grow up in fear, it becomes safer to not choose, not move, and not risk. Example, a person stays in a dead job, a bad environment, or a toxic relationship, not because they don't see it, but because their brain says, at least we know this pain, new things might be worse. 30. Chaos feels normal, calm feels uncomfortable. If you grow up in chaos, peace feels suspicious. The nervous system is confused by quiet. Example, when life is going smoothly, a person feels restless and unconsciously starts drama, picks fights, or self-sabotages just to return to the emotional climate they're used to. 32. Children from traumatic homes apologize constantly. Over-apologizing comes from growing up feeling like everything is their fault. Example, they say sorry for asking a question, for needing help, for existing in someone's space. They're still trying to avoid trouble that doesn't exist anymore. 33. Avoidant attachment is a common trauma pattern. Some kids learn that closeness equals pain, so they become emotionally distant to protect themselves. Example, as an adult, they pull away when someone gets too close, avoid deep conversations and keep people at arm's length, then say, I'm just not emotional, when it's really fear. 34. Trauma makes people addicted to external validation. If they never felt good enough growing up, they chase that feeling from others endlessly. Example, they need constant reassurance. Do you still love me? Was that okay? Are you mad at me? Even if the person reassures them, the feeling doesn't last long. 35. Children blame themselves for adult problems. In unstable families, kids internalize the chaos as their fault because they are egocentric by nature. Example, parents divorce, and instead of understanding adult relationship issues, the child thinks, if I was better, they'd still be together. That guilt follows them into adulthood. 36. Emotional vocabulary is stunted in traumatized homes. If feelings weren't named or discussed, kids grow up emotionally illiterate. Example, all they know is fine, angry, or tired. Underneath there might be shame, fear, loneliness, humiliation, but they don't have words for it, so they either explode or shut down. 37. Trauma makes people attracted to what's familiar, not what's healthy. The brain doesn't choose what's healthy, it chooses what it recognizes. 31. Trauma can lead to impulse criticism and emotional games feels more without emotional regulation taught in childhood and pulls some away adults struggle with urges, stable and kind, overspending, binging, exploding, or escaping. Example 38. Generational stressful day, instead of talking or self-soothing, a person drinks heavily, buys unnecessary things or lashes out at love, create lifelong anxiety. It's not just bad behavior. Even when things improve, it's untrained self-regulation. Someone who grew up poor, hoards money obsessively, or constantly feels broke, even with savings. Another may overspend the moment they get paid because they never learned long-term security, only short-term survival. 39. Emotionally starved kids become emotionally hungry adults. If a child never received healthy affection, affirmation, or warmth, they grow up with a deep emptiness inside. Example: they cling too hard in relationships, tolerate bad behavior just to feel chosen, or stay in half-love situations because a little love feels better than none. 40. Trauma creates an intense fear of failure. When mistakes in childhood brought shame or punishment, failure in adulthood feels life-threatening. Example: a person over-prepares, procrastinates, or avoids trying new things. They'd rather do nothing than risk failing and feeling that old shame again. 41. Trauma also creates fear of success. Success can feel unsafe if you grew up in an environment where being seen attracted jealousy, criticism, or pressure. Example: every time they're about to level up, job, business, relationship, they accidentally sabotage it, miss deadlines, pull away, or quit. Deep down, success feels like a target. 42. Trauma damages boundary skills. If no one respected their boundaries growing up, they either have no boundaries or build walls instead of boundaries. Example: they either say yes to everything and feel used, or they shut people out completely. Healthy middle ground, I love you but no, feels unfamiliar. 43. Trauma programs people to expect abandonment. When important people left physically or emotionally, the nervous system assumes everyone will. Example: if a partner replies late, they spiral into panic. They're leaving. They may cling, test, or push their partner away first, just to avoid being the one abandoned. 44. Unhealed trauma keeps adults emotionally childlike. You can grow physically and financially, but emotionally be stuck at the age you were hurt. Example: a 35-year-old shuts down, sulks, or throws tantrums during conflict, not because they're immature by choice, but because no one taught them better tools than the ones they had as a child. And that's it for today's episode of Why Am I Like This? Featuring generational trauma, emotional damage, and your favorite coping mechanisms. Before you run away to go stare at the wall and rethink your entire childhood, do me a favor, like the video, comment your favorite fact, and share this with someone who needs therapy but keeps saying, "I'll deal with it next year." No, you won't, Timothy. Stop lying. And listen, if you really want to level up your life and maybe your sanity, go check out my website. Yes, I said my website. It's basically a mall for your brain. Audiobooks for when you want wisdom without using your eyes. Printable planners because your life needs structure, not vibes. Fun and games section for when you're tired of being emotionally responsible and just want to laugh, heal, or distract yourself. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, because if you learned even one thing today, imagine what you'll learn in the next video. I'll see you in the next one. Stay healing, stay hydrated, and remember, it's not your fault, it's just your family.